Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. Home to 650 million people, ASEAN comprises 10 culturally diverse countries coming together to achieve economic prosperity and social progress. The region's emerging middle class and rapidly growing number of digitally savvy consumers present immense opportunities for fintech firms in the region. From innovative technologies and payments to insurance, fintech firms are offering diverse solutions that aim to create value for consumers and businesses. As such, the number of fintech firms across ASEAN has increased 3.5 times in the last 5 years. Recognizing the growth potential of fintech firms in ASEAN, investors around the globe have been steadily pouring funds into the region. This year, investments into fintech firms across ASEAN have exceeded $1.14 billion. Fintech firms are using these funds for their expansion overseas. According to our survey, 2 in 3 fintech firms in ASEAN have expanded into 2 or more countries. Regulatory developments across the region have also provided a conducive environment for fintech firms to scale their operations. These developments include digital bank licenses, implementation of regulatory sandboxes, and national payment rails. Given the favorable economic, funding, and regulatory conditions, it is time to seize the opportunities, scale up, and be part of the ASEAN growth story.
Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to our regional seminar heading towards a cashless world, organized and hosted by Hong Kong Business Association Vietnam and supported by Hong Kong Trade Development Council. We have over 60 registrations and many are from the region. My name is Winnie Lam. I'm the General Secretary of the Hong Kong Business Association and the COO of Colliers International in Vietnam, and I will take you through the program today. I would like to start by thanking our guest speakers today. Mr. W Tobin, Head of Retail Banking Group of Vietcombank, unfortunately has a last-minute BOD engagement and has to excuse himself from the webinar, and he sends his apology to the audience. I'm sure we'll hear from him again on a more suitable topic very soon, and he may just jump into the panel discussion in the end if he's finishing his meeting early. Not to disappoint, really, Ms. Phuong Nguyen, Marketing Specialist, will be standing in for Tom for the presentation. Thanks, Ms. Phuong, for agreeing to participate last minute. Dr. Tien Dinh, Executive BOD Member of Viet Union Corp, Payoo. Ms. Manisha Shah, Chief Financial Officer of MoMo, will also join the discussion panel, and our moderator, Mr. Sak Yi Chung, Principal Head of M&A Practice, Baker McKenzie. And it's my honor to be hosting all of you. Thank you. Today, we have a total of 13 national and regional organizations to co-host our event. And in no particular order, let me deliver the thank you. The Hong Kong Trade Development Council, the Hong Kong Australia Business Association in Australia, Hong Kong Singapore Business Association in Singapore, and in Vietnam here, AustCham, BritCham, CanCham, Central and Eastern European Chamber of Commerce, the Council of Taiwanese Chamber of Commerce, Italian Chamber, Indian Business Chamber, Malaysian Business Chamber, Singapore Business Group, and the Thai Business Association. Thank you for your support. Today's event consists of 2 short presentations and a panel discussion to follow, where you can raise questions throughout the webinar using the Q&A tab in your Zoom toolbar underneath. Now, for good housekeeping, the host has muted all your microphone and video to ensure focus. Any questions we are not able to answer during the event, we will get back to you privately also. We will not be entertaining any live questions during the event, so that we can have better control for the time for the convenience of all participants. If you encounter any technical issue during the event, our first suggestion is for you to log out and log in again, and you should be okay. So without further delay, let me quickly get Ms. Phuong Nguyen, Marketing Specialist of Vietcombank, to start with the first presentation. Ms. Phuong joined Vietcombank in 2012 and had held different positions in different divisions, including senior equity analyst and retail marketing specialist. With more than 10 years experience in the financial industry, she has participated in many key projects of Vietcombank, such as digital banking transformation and retail operating transformation project. So Phuong, I'm going to hand it over to you to kickstart the webinar.
Good morning. So, yes. Oops. Good morning.
Yes,
Tom had
dropped
Thank
me.
You. Yeah, Tom had dropped this on me at the last minute, so please be gentle. Yes, my name is Phuong Nguyen, and I am a marketing specialist from Vietcombank. I think many of you know who is Vietcombank, as we are one of the leading banks in Vietnam and #1 in terms of profitability, digital payment, and we are also a leader in retail banking with 17 million retail customers. So today, agenda, I will talk about the relationship between fintechs and banks and present some case studies we have experienced in Vietnam. And finally,
so sorry, Phuong, you have a presentation to share with us?
Yes, I already shared the screen. Can you see? No?
Not yet. Perfect. If you can put it in projection mode, it will be a lot easier for us to read. Thank you very much.
Yes, sorry. Today I will talk about the relationship between bank and fintechs and present some case studies we have experienced in Vietnam, and finally, some lessons and suggestions for expanding the payment business. Today's topic is especially relevant now with the COVID situation, making e-commerce and digital payment even more essential and important. Firstly, we will talk about the relationship between banks and fintechs. Fintechs are known for the speed to market, agility, simplicity, and efficiency. Banks not so much of these attributes, but banks are known for trust, customer base, market know-how, and for having deep pocket for investment. So in Vietnam, 72% of fintech have chosen to cooperate with bank in their business and service delivery instead of entering a direct competition. Most of fintech collaboration with banks to exploit their huge customer base, know-how of the market, and funding, while some fintech post financial capacity is big enough to survive and choose to compete directly with banks or create totally new products and services. However, another reason is that the Vietnam market still has room for both fintech and bank to grow and seek new customers. At the end of 2019, only 63 adults in Vietnam 63% adults in Vietnam own a bank account, and 20 of them use digital. And 20% of them use digital channels. So yes, we can see that bank and fintech can both grow and avoid to be compete directly. As we know, fintech term cover a vast number of services that are changing in the new digital era, such as blockchains, payment, exchange, research, digital money, online banking, investment, and crowdfunding. However, in Vietnam, most of fintech focus on e-payment and online banking, especially on e-payment with 47% of fintech in the market. This is also the highest rate in the Southeast Asia area. So, in a recent market research of Tomorrow Marketer, the fintechs that focus on payment has attracted 98% investment in fintech overall. Some of them, namely very successful, namely like VNPay and of course MoMo, the two unicorns of Vietnam. Firstly, I will talk about the case of VNPay. We can see in this case, VNPay operates in both areas that we mentioned in the previous slide, payment platform and online banking. Bank let VNPay exploit their customer base, and VNPay built a mobile application for banks and develop a merchant network for QR payment so banks' customers can profit. And as many of other banks in Vietnam, Vietcombank and VNPay also have a good relationship with each other. With Vietcombank, VNPay collaborate via two methods. One is become a partner by providing the QR payment gateway, which is considered as a breakthrough payment solution that could pave the way for a cashless payment boom in Vietnam. And two, become an outsourcer by building the new online banking platform, VCB Digibank. This VCB Digibank is built on the integration of two transaction platforms that we have before, is internet banking and mobile banking, helping to bring seamless, unified experience to customer on electronic media, such as computer and mobile devices. And only after 2 weeks since its launch, more than 80% of Vietcombank's current online users had converted to this new platform with an average of 1 million transactions a day. And a second case I want to talk about is MoMo. MoMo is the first and the biggest e-wallet in Vietnam. And this case is a typical relationship between an e-wallet and bank. Vietcombank provide MoMo with customer account and interbank transfer like cash in, cash out, and MoMo provide payment volume to Vietcombank and other services like micropayment, or can become an agency for account opening in areas that banks are not present. In today's webinar, we also have Ms. Manisha Shah from MoMo as a speaker, so I will let the expert talk about her own company later on. The next one, I would like to talk about Vietcombank and other fintechs. We have partnership with more than 20 e-wallets, including MoMo, AirPay, Mocha, ZaloPay, etc. It gives our customer lots of choices and new and innovative solutions. Another example of digital partnership is Samsung Pay, using mobile NFC to make payment that at physical merchant. We also work with ride-hailing and food delivery companies to give Vietcombank customers access to all kinds of service. In the area that fintech developed, such as online banking, I would like to talk about the case of Timo and VP Bank. Founded in 2015 as a joint venture between Vina Capital and VP Bank, Timo is the first digital-only bank experiment in Vietnam. Through its web and mobile application, Timo provides a wide range of financial products and services to its users. And Timo operates by leveraging the official banking license from VP Bank. Recently, Timo has announced its departure from VP Bank due to an internal conflict between the two partners, mostly due to the conflict of interest, since VP Bank have they all develop application which called YOLO, and Timo is just a joint venture. So they decided to say goodbye to each other, and Timo will be with Vietcombank. And yes, so talk about the relationship between banks and fintechs, also in order to build an ecosystem for cashless payment in Vietnam market. I would like to talk about like some lessons and suggestions that we learn. Success depends on offering customer choices and making it safe, easy, and convenient to make payments on mobile and online. Data security and trust also are the most important to the long-term success. And by collaborating with fintechs, bank can increase the speed of innovation and reach and bring new technology to the business. And fintechs gain market trends and customers, brand awareness and trust from the association with bank. We might become competitor in the future, but right now we both gain much more from being strong partners. And yes, thank you for listening for my presentation. I would give the mic back to Winnie.
Thank you, Phu. And I don't think Tom could have done it better himself, given that you have very little time to prepare. Thank you very much about that. Coming up next, I have Dr. Tien Dinh, Executive BOD Member of Viet Union Corp of Payoo. He joined Viet Union Corporation from the very first days. Dinh has led different key projects such as fraud detection system, Payoo e-wallet, and payment gateway, bill payment platform, NFC smart card payment in public transportation, mobile POS, which all sound very foreign to me, who is an outsider. So without further delay, I'm going to ask Phu to unhost her screen, and then let Dr. Dinh take over and share with us about Payoo and some of the platforms that he has been working on. Are you there, Dr. Dinh?
Hello, yeah, I'm here. But
all right, if you can turn on your video also so that we can see you.
I try to turn on, but I cannot start because the host stopped me. I'm not the host.
Okay. All right, the host, please let Mr. Dinh show himself. And could you host your presentation?
Sure, I could do, but at the moment I could not turn on the video.
Okay, if you host the presentation, then we'll work on turning on your video screen.
Okay, I would do it now. Hold on for a second. Okay, I share the screen now. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see your screen. If you can put on projection. Yes, perfect. And I'll get my team to keep working on your video.
Yeah, it seems that I'm not the host right now yet.
Okay.
Okay, so can I start my presentation now?
Yes, please.
I would like to share you a brief information about the digital payment in Vietnam and how Payoo is doing in such a kind of market. Firstly, I would like to share you an overview of Vietnam. With the population of nearly 100 million, we have a very young and active, citizens here, with the average age is 32.5. We are all called the golden age now for Vietnam. With the subscriber for telcos in Vietnam, we have over 145 million subscription in mobile phones, and there are about 44 million smartphones being used in the market, and around 62 million users are using social media, and more than 64 million internet users, and they spend around more than 6 hours and 42 minutes average daily to surf the internet, to surf the social media and things. So relating to the topic today, I also want to share that in Vietnam we have 49 banks, and so far the SBV, the State Bank of Vietnam, they have granted 35 intermediary payment service provider. This is a payment service provider. So recently in Vietnam, the government and everyone mentioned a lot about the digital economy. So I give you a brief, some figures and numbers here. According to a report from Google and Temasek that most of you have been aware of, in 2019, the GMV of Vietnam internet economy accounts over 5% of the GDP. It's around 12 billion US dollar, and it is expected to reach 43 billion in 2025. And in the ICT and software industry in Vietnam, you see the stock index keep growing from 2012 until last year. It's keep growing very well. And in terms of the number of companies and corporates who are working in IT and ICT or software industry, there are around 30,000 of them like that. And in the total number of human resources working in software and ICT, IT, hardware related, is around 1 million human resources. And annually, all the universities here in Vietnam, they have roughly about 80,000 new graduates every year. For the revenue of IT and ICT here, mainly the software and hardware development and production, it reached the revenue of nearly 100 billion US dollar, and the export turnover is 83.3 billion. And in terms of the telcos, the telecom revenue is almost 20 billion US dollar. And this is the overall figures from Vietnam. So in terms of digital payment in Vietnam, you can see I split into two groups. That is one at the point of sales. So you go to the shop, you go to the point of sales. Normally people can use the card, the bank card, like domestic card, international card like Visa, Master, JCB. And recently they can use all the new technology for digital payment at the point of sales. Like you can use an app to scan the QR code, either it is coming from the banks, from a third-party e-wallet provider. And recently, people also mentioned a lot about mobile money. Mobile money will be soon to be launched from the telcos. That is at the physical point of sales. And for online, as you may know that most of the merchants, they offer different kind of digital payment acceptance there by using a traditional way of entering the card numbers through a payment gateway. And recently, the more new trend that people are using the mobile banking application to scan the QR code directly from the payment gateway instead of typing in the 16 digits from your card. They also use internet banking, and it will be redirected to the bank website, and you have to approve that. And the recent trend from the e-wallets provider, if you can see now in Vietnam, that is many e-wallet providers, they would like to become a super app where they keep the customer by themselves, and there the customer can transact for any kind of services available from the list of the super apps. Like they can call a taxi, they can pay for the bill, utility bills, pay for the school fee, top up their phone numbers, prepaid mobile phone and so on. So super apps is also the new trend in Vietnam. So according to the figures in Vietnam, currently from the State Bank of Vietnam, there are an overall of 260,000 EDC POS in Vietnam, with the total of 87 million, more than 87 million domestic card, 50 million something Visa, MasterCard, e-wallets. Recently, with the updated regulation, and so far the SBV have granted the licenses for 35 different providers, 35 different companies in Vietnam. Even though the number of downloads and registration is high, but according to SBV, the fully compliant e-wallet user is roughly around 5 million, because they need to do the eKYC, they need to do the bank integration in order to become a e-wallet customers. So in terms of digital payment in Vietnam, the biggest segment people often discuss and talk about it is about e-commerce and mobile commerce. So e-commerce ranging from the big platforms like Lazada, Shopee, international platform, they are coming to Vietnam, and some domestic platform like Tiki or Sandal. Mobile commerce recently it opened up, like the e-wallets from Vingroup. They also allow the super apps on the mobile commerce. Banks, most of the banks now, they are moving to mobile banking apps, and they try to turn their banking apps not only for the banking transaction, but they also offer the shopping on the banking apps. So most of big names in the market, big banks in the market, they offer that. The second sector is a retail market. Not only the EDC POS where they accept the card payment now, a lot of places, if you go in big cities like Ho Chi Minh, Hanoi, you can see that people can pay using mobile phones now from e-wallets or from mobile banking apps by scanning the QR code. Some others, they use the new NFC standard to tap and go. And NAPAS and SPV now require on new bank card must be compatible with the contactless payment. The game industry also popular, not only now, but because of the COVID time, more people maybe they spend more time at home. So we have seen recently also the booming in games, in payment for games. Logistics and transportation also, with the new sharing economy, and a lot of newcomers like Grab, Uber, Gojek, and domestic providers, also logistics turn the page to the new services, and they offer last mile fulfillment very well, and people quite happy to make digital payment for their transportation. Bill payment also, I mean, it is related to the government, especially utility bills, but most of the big utility bills provider like electricity, water, they move to digital now by enforcing customer to go online and make payment for utility bills through the bank accounts or e-wallets or through payment gateways. And the e-government also, public fees, tax and fine. Recently, the government have been launched a lot of payment gateway for public fees. So you can see a lot of things have been changed recently in Vietnam. So the biggest advantage in terms of digital payment in Vietnam is that every day you read newspaper articles, listen to radio or TV, you always hear about digital payment, cashless society, and the government keep, sending the awareness to everyone, not only the merchants, but also the customers. Even the government themselves, they promote very well in terms of like national digital transformation. Recently we have that, and also big cities like Ho Chi Minh City, we also have city level digital transformation. Digital economy is mentioned here and there almost in most of the conferences and workshops recently. Government try to enforce and also promote the customer, the citizen have to do everything online and make payment online also. And new regulatory sandboxes will be introduced this year and next year, according to SPV and the Prime Minister. So we have some pilot tests for new trend in fintech. So recently, if you look into the digital payment market in Vietnam, you see a big trend of people moving to super apps, like all e-wallets now, not only purely the e-wallets like to pay for online merchants, but now they turn on to become a super apps, like the trend everywhere in the world. And most of big e-wallets provider now, they try to enhance and added more services to their apps. Banking also, even they are very traditional, but as the sharing earlier from Vietcombank, they also have a lot of experience in their case studies of moving to mobile banking applications. And there from mobile banking applications, the user can transact very easily with own card services ready on the apps. So we are expecting there is a big competition later on because everyone, they want to drag the end customer to their ecosystem. The biggest barrier so far for digital payment in Vietnam is that even though the SPV, they introduced the EMV QR code standard, and most of the banks, they are applying now, but it seems that on big e-wallets in Vietnam, they try to keep their proprietary standard within their ecosystem. So currently no interoperation between wallets and banks so far, but we hope to see it soon in the coming years. And so far, according to the regulations, e-wallets are only offered for bank account holders. That's why the number of actual e-wallet user is not big yet. And with the expectation that this year we will have mobile money where the government allow the mobile money users, they don't need to have bank accounts with the banks. Yeah, so it can reach out to rural areas. So recently we are talking a lot about the COVID-19 where a lot of lockdowns here and there in the world. In Vietnam, in April, for 3 weeks, the government enforced a lockdown, and recently it seems that because of the social distancing is being applied again due to the new wave of the pandemic in Vietnam. So in overall, the demands from the customer go down sharply in general, even though people encouraged to go online. For physical merchants, what we see the opportunities here, most of them are talking about moving online. We have worked with a lot of merchants last time, it may last for many months and even years, and now they all want to move online to overcome the COVID-19. And they move directly to e-commerce platform like Shopee, Lazada, Tiki, Sendo, or they set up their e-commerce website depending on how big they are and how ready they are in terms of the technical team. And a lot of cashless digital payment have been offered for the point of sales and also for online. They introduced new way of payment like the QR code payment and so on to reduce the contact between the customer and the merchants. And online merchants also, based on this case, they also try to reduce the COD transaction. Currently, according to some unofficial report, they say about 80-85% of the online transaction is still COD, cash on delivery. And because of the demand going down, customers don't want to spend too much money, and installment payment become a trend now, and a lot of merchants, they would like to offer that. And payment channel also is an opportunity to be able to deploy for merchants to manage their own the channels together. So with Payoo, we are working as a platform here in Vietnam. We are number one in terms of the bill payment aggregators in Vietnam by aggregating all the billers like utility bills, school fee, and different like collections like insurance and similar. And we provide them to 40 different banks in Vietnam. And based on that relationship, we also work as a new payment aggregator and facilitator. So with Payoo, currently we connect to many banks in Vietnam in order to accept their internet banking, mobile banking apps, credit debit card. We connect to NAPAS, is a switching provider in Vietnam, national switching provider, and also e-wallets. So that with one-stop payment, Payoo, we place our payment gateway on online merchants where people, customer can pay by any new means of payment like QR code payment, e-wallet payment, they can do it online. And we offer the Android POS or normal traditional POS or kiosk at the shop where people also use traditional banking cards to pay a new way like mobile banking apps or e-wallets. And especially because of the thing that Payoo have as an advantage, where we integrate into our POS or our payment gateway, the bill payment, so that the merchant can offer not only for their payment acceptance, but also have value added services to their website or to their shop. Say, most of the convenience store in Vietnam, they accept all kind of bill payment, game phone top-ups, installment payment, they all offer by Payoo. And based on that, we aggregate all of the e-wallets, all the big names in the country with us. So with single integration, now the merchants, not only the online, but the offline shop, they also accept all kind of new digital payment. And they have a uniform omni channel and uniform portal to see all the transaction and all kind of analysis there. And we have been cooperating with all the big banks in Vietnam to do this, including Vietcombank, like they are doing today. And we offer that in the market so far. So that is an overall payment, digital payment in Vietnam in a short form of view and some kind of solution that we are doing in the market right now. And yeah, thank you very much for your listening. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Tien. I certainly feel that I am walking in alien land with all that you are talking. See, Chung is already in a hurry to take over. Here comes the highlight of today's webinar. Our moderator today, Mr. Saki Chung, Principal Head of M&A Practice of Baker McKenzie. He has been based in Vietnam for over 20 years, managing and dealing with a wide range of investment projects and M&A deals. And I was told that Chung is a semi-expert in this fintech area. So we are bringing back Ms. Phuong and Dr. Tien. While Tom could be lurking at the back to join the panel later, we'll be at watch out for that. Remember to send in your questions through the Q&A tab, in which we are starting to see. We're bringing in a fresh target though, Ms. Manisha Shah, Chief Financial Officer of MoMo. So let's see if Manisha will show her face very soon. Over the past 19 years, Manisha worked in corporates or advised clients in over 25 countries. She has worked at JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, TVS & Sons, Vodafone, and the World Bank. She received a BA from Colgate University and an MBA from Harvard Business School. Let me see, Manisha, are you somewhere? Not seeing Manisha yet. Yes, there's Manisha. All right, putting you on the hot seat. Before we hand it over to Chung, may I ask you to give us a 2 minutes elevator pitch on MoMo so that we get something for Chung to sink his teeth on. That would be really, really nice. While I think Foong should get ready to come online. So over to you, Manisha.
Yeah, thank you, Vinny. Hello, everybody. Good morning. I'm Manisha, and Vinny's already introduced me. I worked at MoMo for the last year and a half, through which we have seen like explosive growth in our business. I'll quickly introduce MoMo to those people that haven't heard of MoMo. We are the largest e-wallet in Vietnam. We consider ourselves, as Tien said correctly, we consider ourselves a super app, and we believe and we hope to become the consumer homepage for customers in Vietnam. We started in 2012. MoMo means mobile money. The vision of our founders and our early employees and our employees today has always been to use financial services to transform the lives of all Vietnamese people. Right now, as Tien said, we are restricted to only the banked users, but over time, we believe the mobile phone is a way to help all people in Vietnam make their lives easier by using financial services. And this is really the driving philosophy that motivates all of us at MoMo. We are a homegrown technology business. We started with 5, and now we have over 350 people in technology. Everything that we do was developed in Vietnam, which is very different from many of our peers. And we are very proud to have the support of, and partner very closely with the government of Vietnam. So today we are about 20 million registered users. We have over 29,000 merchants in our network. We have close to 1,000 people who work here. I am the only foreigner at MoMo. When I joined a year and a half, that number was about 450 people. You know, we were in one office in Saigon. I was sharing a desk with our head of HR because we didn't have any place, and so over time we've expanded and we have become more established. You know, I would like to echo what Tien and early VCB said, is that we are a platform business. We see ourselves as a partner to banks, to merchants, and to customers. We only succeed and we only grow if all the elements of our ecosystem grow. So we very much think that that's true. We think of ourselves as distinct from banks because we try to develop a strong relationship with our users, and we focus on high frequency, low volume payments, which is different from what you traditionally use. So MoMo will not be the place where the app that you use to buy a car or something extremely expensive, but it will be the place where you buy your coffee, you pay for your Apple purchases, you pay for Google Play, you buy video games, cinema tickets, airline tickets, all of those things can be done on MoMo today. So at the end, what we become is we try to have a deep relationship with our consumer. We are not a balance sheet business, we are a data business. And we believe that our relationship with our customers and merchants is sort of what helps us grow. And so we are a small company. We are very ambitious. Our focus is solely on the Vietnamese market. We don't have any international expansion plans. Because we believe that, you know, we're just at the start of where we want to be in this market. And we also believe that payments is a hyper-local business, dependent on local merchants, on local spending habits, and also on local regulations. So that's it from me. And Chung, I'm happy to answer questions.
Okay, thank you very much. So Winnie, I take it that I can take over from here.
Well, you can take over. I think the other speakers are hiding from you. So hopefully they will turn on their video soon so that you can actually have a discussion. All right. So Ms. Foong and Dr. Tien, please turn on your video and get your microphone ready. No more hiding. This is it. All right.
All right, thanks. Actually, I really, of course, thank you, HKB, AV, and the other co-hosts for organizing this webinar. And thank you, Ms. Foong and Dr. Tien, for very good presentations to give us, more read about the industry, growth plans, and challenges. And for Manisha, you know, I like that bit of your story where you said that, oh, you know, when you first joined, I think folks were like sharing desk and all that. Of course, I think this day and age, sharing desk is not that good an idea with that bit of social distancing. But actually, the bigger picture around that, and I do have a Q&A question in here, is sort of, you know, what are the secrets to, you know, success and growth? Okay, so just to lay a bit of groundwork, and actually one thing, bit of housekeeping, and only because I'm a lawyer, I do believe that you know, the panelists, the speakers today, they're happy to share their thoughts and personal opinions, and I assume that this is not some official statements that come out from your companies. Yeah. So I just hope that this creates an interesting dialogue. But just to set the scene a bit more, and Dr. Tien did touch on this, that yeah, no, Vietnam is really moving upward and onward. I think all of you have read in the press about Vietnam's vision and agenda towards, you know, smart cities, towards innovation, you know, IR 4.0. And in this ecosystem, surely and clearly, you know, payments and payments solutions are a big part of it. And you can see this in the policy that's rolled out by the Prime Minister. I believe it's called the Financial Inclusion Strategy until 2025. And just some of, you know, the top end targets they have there. They point out that, you know, there's a wide swath of an unbanked population, especially out in the provinces. I think certain age groups with silver hairs are also not quite adopting the technology as well as some folks might like. But anyways, the whole idea is to, you know, until 2025 and a vision to 2020, targeting at least 80% of the adults in the country to have bank accounts, at least 50% of communes nationwide to have offices to provide financial services, and at least 25 to 30% of adults having saving accounts at credit institutions by 2025. Yeah, I think it was also mentioned the digital transformation journey that you know, Vietnam wishes to undertake, and again, payment solutions is going to be a big part of it. Okay, but let's just start with Manisha. Okay, you know, when we talk about the business of the, you know, payment solutions companies and the startups, as you put it, you know, I do believe it's a challenging environment, like any startup. I think there are obstacles, they're watching the cash burn, etc. And so what do you feel are some of the ingredients of success for, you know, the companies in the payment solution space, or even in the broader, you know, tech market? And you might even see that from the Q&A question, there is already a related question from Dimitri, which is, you know, how does companies like Payoo and MoMo see their business develop in the future? So we're talking about a here now, we're talking about the future. What do you think are the steps to, you know, to bring success? Because no pretense, and, you know, Dimitri did point out that, you know, what do the profit margins look like? There are, you know, players that come and go. So how are, you know, folks like MoMo and Payoo dealing with the growth strategy? Okay, over to, I guess, Manisha first.
Okay, thank you for the question. So there was a lot of questions in one question. But so you know, I think the broader question is, what does success look like, and how do you get there from where we are today? Right? It is a challenging, you know, any new space is always challenging. There's a lot of user education, a lot of you know, the challenges to get over the early adopter hurdles are steep. I think in Vietnam, we're fortunate that we've gotten over, I think, the early adoption. The competition, in fact, helps you create that awareness, so people are educated and then they start to use the app. So for us, what success looks like is to have a strong relationship with our consumers, where when they want to make small payments or buy something in Vietnam, they go into the MoMo app. in there, they can buy whatever they want. Whether you want to buy your groceries, whether you want to book a plane ticket, go to the cinema, whether you need to get travel insurance, whether you have to make like a small hospital bill payment, all of that can be done through the MoMo app. Or also if you want to play games and send money to your friends, small ticket, right? All of that, the thing that you think of to do that with is MoMo, and you do that with 2 touches. So the user experience is seamless and beautiful. And that's really what we aspire to be, right? And so and I think that we are on the journey. We are not finally where we want to be. To do that, you have to have a substantial merchant base. You have to develop the products. And what I see is that over time, you migrate towards more higher margin products, right? So you move away. Dimitri had a question on bill payments. Yes, it's lower margin. At least for us, I think Payoo probably has much higher margins than us, but it's lower margin, but it creates great stickiness. It is a great way to allow somebody to enter and engage with the app. And from that, when they move over to other services, whether it's on Apple, Google Play, buying games, buying movie tickets, paying for lunch, they go into higher margin products, whether you pay and when you buy travel insurance. So the combination of moving from lower margin to higher margin products, and the combination of getting a greater wallet share, right? I don't want somebody, for us, it is a failure. We have failed our user if they start paying their electricity bill, and 6 months later, they're still only paying their electricity bill. For me, that we have failed in explaining to our user what's the advantage of MoMo. So you migrate them to more services. So that's the combination with which you get financial sustainability, so to speak. And I think also, people are very much tainted, I think, by what they have seen happen in India with Paytm. Now, the regulatory market in India is very different from Vietnam, and also what they've seen in Indonesia. In our business, and I think in many of our peers' business, we have reasonable gross margins. We try to control that, and we do not give insane promotions. So I think that you start from not creating an environment where the user is going to expect to not pay for anything. And then you build on the other things. So I hope that kind of answers your question, Jen.
Yeah, it does. And I think just a few of the sort of key words that I picked up from that was around things like having trust and confidence of the consumers, being seamless. I think that's so important. The more barriers to reach what you want, that means there's more frustration. Migration of services, right? So instead of paying just the bills, you should be paying for other stuff. And if my son had his way, he'd just be paying for games, which I'm sure he does.
You can set a limit.
Oh, we can? Oh, that's good to know.
You can also see what your son spends on.
I'll let the wife do that. And of course, value. I have a question around geography, which kind of touches on, I think there's another question from, I think it's Lily, is that right? Which other cities are interesting? I know that Manisha, you and I had a chat about Da Nang once before. Not related to COVID, but just Da Nang is a great place for digital nomads. So maybe I'll swing back to that at some later stage. But now I think if you don't mind, I think I'll reach some of the other panelists. So maybe I can call upon Ms. Fong. And again, Ms. Fong, thank you again, for the presentation. Vietcombank, market leader and all that. So my question is around, the bank relationship with the fintech companies. Yeah, whenever there's innovation, whenever there's new business models, and I think years and years back, we keep seeing the word, disruption. There's disruption to the taxi and transportation business. There's the disruption to banking services and payments. So perhaps you can share a bit of, how do you see, what is sort of the bank's relationship with fintech companies? Do you see this as opportunities for, cooperation or collaboration? the banks trying to develop their own in-house capabilities? Are they still going? Are they very open to working with third-party providers? My guess is a mix of these things, but it'd be great, Ms. Feng, if you can hear some of your thoughts around that.
Yes, thank you for your question. Yes, I would like to say that from my experience, of course, regarding some fintechs is related to IR or research in general. The bank consider them more than more as a partner than a competitor, because they help us to analyze our customer base, our customer behavior, and help us to predict the like shopping behavior, or even the churn rate. When the customer about to leave the bank. Before, if we work in the bank only and without fintechs, we only focus on the historical data of the bank based on the spending. However, right now they go with the social media and other network, like we can cooperate with fintech to take extra information from the social media network to analyze if the customer is good for us or not, to incorporate in the result of credit scoring. But in terms of e-wallet or other payment services and products, sometimes in the beginning we do think them as a competitor, because if the the MoMo, for example, they offer some bill payment, yes, the bank offers the same thing. But time by time when we work together, we know that sometimes we have to split. Bank should be focused on the big payment with the big loan, and leave the micro payment market to the e-wallet, so we can both grow. And sometimes bank have a certain customer segment that for the mass public, we're not gonna touch them. For example, Vietcombank, the market consider Vietcombank have a high-end customer. Like they're not gonna go to, like for example, a merchant as a vendor on the street, maybe will not be our customer. However, we can share it with MoMo or Payoo. Like they can develop a street vendor network that we cannot do that. And this can also offer our customers some benefit to, we can both grow, and we share the market. At this time, like I don't think that any bank in Vietnam would think that e-wallet will be our competitor anymore. But in the beginning, yes, I would say so.
No, thanks for sharing that. Some very open views. In fact, maybe the difficult questions won't come from me. It's going to come from the comments of the panelists. But yeah, I think we get that picture. I mean, the ecosystem, the market is broad. It covers a whole range of things. And certainly, yeah, let's face it, there's competition in the market. Healthy competition is good. You can see that out of Vietnam's competition law. But at the same time, there are a lot of untapped opportunities. There are ways, there are collaboration, there's sharing of data. I just trust that you're observing data privacy rules. I'll just make that as an assumption, because that's very important for consumer confidence, right? Cybersecurity, respect for cybersecurity and respect for data privacy. I mean, when sometimes we talk about, folks not having as much confidence and maybe preferring to keep money in the mattress and using our wallets, sometimes the concern is around security. Okay, but let's move on.
To your point, creating user trust is the single most important criteria for any payments, particularly for like our kind of e-wallets where you link your bank account. So we spend a lot of time and effort to do that, and which also means we have a huge team doing security and risk analysis and customer service. For everybody, that's like the number one thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah. So just moving topics a bit, and I think I'd like to talk about the customer base. What are the trends in terms of what are people spending on? What's the demographic of people that's spending on what? I mean, Manisha, for example, you said that the type of payments that you facilitate could be for travel or cinema, but just unfortunately right now travel and cinema is not exactly the things that people might spend on, but certainly games, certainly just getting perhaps food and delivery. And also actually I want to ping Dr. Tien because he also talked about digital transformation journeys of their clients, of their customers, of companies, and there are challenges in that space. So I guess it's an open question for everyone, but perhaps we can start with Dr. Tien first, just to maybe elaborate a bit more on what he sees are trends in terms of using payments. Is it a bunch of kids just playing more and more games because it's holiday season now, or the schools are not open? Or are people using it for more for utilities payment? So it'd be good to hear about that, and then maybe to hear a bit about as companies go through their digital transformation journey, what are some of the challenges they face, and maybe some of the solutions they come up with. Dr. Tien?
Yeah, thank you, Joe, for the question, and hello everyone. So as you can see from the sharing from other panelists. In Vietnam, not only because of the COVID, but in Vietnam, the government really promotes the digital transformation. And in the digital transformation, digital payment is one of like the blood in the body. So we often say like this. So for companies, especially we have worked with merchants, and Payoo is like a B2B provider, a platform provider, a B2B provider, rather than the B2C like wallets provider like MoMo or others. So when we work with big merchants, big corporates, especially during this time of the year where they have been hit very hard due to the COVID-19, most of them really want to open up opportunities. So one of the first things is that they have to make it more efficient on what they have been doing so far. And when you know that the lockdown coming in and they could not open their shop, so the only way is to moving online. So with current trend, there are a lot of platforms for you to move online, like e-commerce platform, but also at the same time, like they would like to have different ways to offer the customer to pay. So we offer a wide range of payments. Say you can create the order and email that to your customer, and they can hit that button and make payment. Or you can send through an SMS to make payment. So every option is turned on to be very quick, to be ready. And for digital transformation, from our own experience that we noticed, because we do bill payment, is one of the biggest bill payment aggregator in Vietnam. Also, we provide the collection service for many big corporates. So the key thing here is that they have done that traditionally long time ago with the banks, but at that time there's no system integration. They're doing manually and doing batch processing at the end of the day. So when we try as a fintech, as a startup, we try to encourage them and persuade them to move everything online and connect it. So that's why we have fully connected a utility bill provider today. I still remember my old time when We come to their office where they don't have any server. They do everything on Excel file or Access database. And we advise them to set up servers. So later, nowadays, all e-wallets provider, all the banks, they can pay like water bills, especially water provider, you know, they are small, tradition and public based, so very slow. But now everything moved very quickly in the past few years. And for daily transaction, monthly transaction now, everything done in real time. You have done and your debt been clear in real time. And all of those kind of transactions, like earlier, the panelists mentioned about the seamless and beautiful user experience. So we are as a partner to help the merchant, help the bank to transform more quickly. And for the bank, for example, like the merchant network, the bank so far they launched themselves the EDC POS, but that EDC POS is only accepting the payment. And now with Payoo, we added services like you can go to that EDC to pay the bills, to pay the school fee, to pay for your cinema tickets also. And we have a network of 10,000 point of sales across the country, and we work with the bank also. So the bank themselves, they don't need to go to the service provider to connect each of the bank. It mess up and it's not efficient. So we are like the aggregator, and we support all other e-wallet providers also to offer our billing services and payment services. So such a kind of thing to make it more efficient, and digital transformation is one of the thing. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Manisha, I guess coming back to you again, sort of that same broad theme of questions. We talk about seeing the trends of what customers are buying. And then likewise, I'm sure you know you also help folks on the digital transformation journey. So again, any observations around that?
Sure. You know, okay. Sorry, Chung, when you say the digital transformation journey, what exactly are you looking to get from me on that?
Oh, okay. So for example, like, you know, if somebody has a traditional brick and mortar shop and because of, you know, lack of, yeah, and, you know, somewhere between opening up new markets, somewhere between social distancing, and folks wanting to, you know, do delivery. I mean, that's, of course, is the usual, very simple example, but it could be on any other industry which you feel is interesting. And I think the main things that some people are not, you know, there's a lot of technology, there's a lot of cool stories floating around, but, you know, how do I adjust my business model to leverage that? Am I missing any opportunities for a new market? Am I being inefficient and being a dinosaur? I think a lot of companies think through that, even law firms think about that too. So yeah, so again, the broad questions around, again, maybe from the consumer spend, what are they spending on? And then, yeah, on digital transformation of merchants or any other industry,
sure.
What are some of the observations you have around that?
So I'll just have to start by saying that, you know, we saw a little bit of a slowdown in April when we had the lockdown, but coming back out of it, we had our best month ever in OTA and travel. So, you know, you see a little where we see, let me step back. What we see as the biggest transformation in Vietnam, given for COVID, is a change in acceleration in the change of the mindset of users, merchants, and even regulatory on electronic payments, right? Has all of that translated into behavior on the ground? No, but I think that what it did was it moved things forward a lot. On the regulatory side, you see that they approved eKYC, right? Which is huge, right? It was something that we have discussed for years, and we honestly, we didn't think it would happen for the next couple of years. So on the merchant side, what you see is what we call O2O. We call it offline to online. We saw a great, you know, we saw a lot of merchants wanting to get online, so we launched, you know, like an online supermarket for some merchants during that period. So a lot of that went offline to online, but the traction is still lower. On the consumer side, you saw a little bit of a decline in offline payments. While they were shut, obviously there was no cinema, there was very little travel, but most of those things have come back. I would say also e-commerce payments came back. On a lot of more peer-to-peer transfers, a lot more voice, a lot of more online services. I think a huge uptake on food, right? Food delivery, we have only a partnership with Baymin, but that really accelerated. But otherwise, it was okay, right? People who are paying bills still have to pay bills. So we haven't seen it much of a, we've kind of continued to grow through the period, fortunately. I think that e-commerce is a really interesting example where you see the macro effect on the business, right? And I can't speak for Tiki or Lazada or any of them, but what you see is that there is a shift away and the spending on consumer durables, right? Like the phone, whatever. A lot of the revenue for e-commerce website comes from electronic payment, like electronics. You buy a new phone, you buy an adapter. A lot of that gets postponed a couple of months in a time of economic uncertainty, right? So I think that you see a little bit of impact from that, but otherwise we do small ticket payments, right? So that that continues through this period. On the merchant side, I think what we find when you think about, you have online and offline, right? So when you think about the offline merchants, what they have less of, whether it's a medium or large size retailer or a small mom and pop shop, is a direct relationship with their merchant, with their consumers. They don't know who is their customer. They know that they sold this at 10 a.m., but they don't know that it was sold to a woman. They don't know how to reach her again. And nobody really is going to download 20 apps for loyalty programs, right? So, I mean, because we cannot physically do it. So what MoMo can do is that if you start making payments on MoMo, we can provide generalized information, right? Saying that this is the trend that we see. This is the demographic that purchases in the morning. This is the demographic that purchases in the evening. We can help you send an email to the people who purchased in MoMo. So a lot of that consumer connection is a challenge for retailers. So as a first step, we see trying to help our merchants get to know their users better, get to reach them users better. So if, I don't know, a Circle K or somebody opens a new store, traditionally the only way they can advertise that store is hand out flyers. That's very inefficient. We can, however, do you know what I mean? Like that's how they say there's a new Circle K opened, or you put out a billboard. But maybe if we know your users, we can send a message to people in Ho Chi Minh City saying that Circle K is open. So there's a way to better connect the consumers to merchants, which I think is the starting point of the relationship. And over time, you can migrate that deeper. What we try to do is we integrate into our merchants, which is something like a Grab doesn't do. So you just scan the MoMo, like the MoMo dynamic QR code and make your payment. And by doing that, we get more information and we are in the merchant system. So I think that's helpful to merchants.
Yeah, that's right. And I think just picking up some of the broad themes there, Vietnam is strange, interesting, and a place with a lot of opportunities still. I mean, truly, I think because a lot of us give credit to the government for managing the pandemic, so I feel relatively safe. The fundamentals that make Vietnam interesting are still there, but of course, we don't act in isolation. It depends on how the rest of the world goes. My personal take is that the Vietnam growth and economy won't be quite the same as pre-COVID. But having said that, and I think you find a lot of literature out there that Vietnam is still one of the top growing economies, and I think there's still opportunities, and people are reacting differently to the pandemic, and the buying patterns might change, and they might go for different products and services. So I still think there are great opportunities out there. Okay, I'll turn back to Phong of Vietcombank. Again, the question is also on your end. What do you see? In digital transformation, the way that customers spend, maybe some broad thoughts around that. But I'll add one question here. So Phong, I'll just add one more element here, which is location. Okay, because I think just that ties into a question I think from Lily. That says that, we spend so much time thinking about, Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi for very obvious reasons, but what about other places? And what about the provinces? What about Da Nang? Okay, and just going back to an remark I made about Da Nang. Of course, right now, okay, it's not the most beautiful story to talk about. And of course, we wish them all well. We wish that everybody's managing it. But I was in Da Nang in June, not July, in June. And we know that the city government, apart from, as usual, pushing tourism for all the obvious reasons, the Da Nang government is also really focused on, innovation, smart cities, from manufacturing to, attracting what they call digital nomads. In fact, if you go and search online digital nomads, Da Nang, you'll see from a few reports that interestingly, globally, Da Nang city, not talking about Vietnam, Da Nang city is ranked 1, 2, or top 5 or top 10 as one of the most attractive places for digital nomads. But of course, this was a bit before the outbreak in July. So, okay, so Ms. Fung, so I guess on your end, same broad theme of questions. What do you see, sort of the trends and the growth in this market? And perhaps if you can talk a bit about location and geography. Does it matter or doesn't matter? Are you trying to reach people beyond the big cities? Ms. Fung?
Yes, thank you for your question. Talking about the location, as I mentioned in my previous answer, like sometimes the bank cannot reach the far, like the distant area, like far in the mountain, or when the target customer of the bank is not big enough to the bank to exploit that market, so the bank is not present. And here is the area that we can cooperate with fintech to expand our network, merchant network, as well as customer base. And I would like to say it's true that our main customer is constant, like is more in big city like Ho Chi Minh, Hanoi, and Da Nang. And in those cities, they use more like credit cards, and for payment. But in the rural area where the income of our customer is not haven't reached the requirement of our bank, then they cannot open international credit card, and they cannot buy stuff. So where is the place on the e-wallet can jump in? We can share with them the database with the customer. They just have the checking account without any bank card, I mean credit card, and well, the fintech can help us to connect them with other international services like MoMo with Google Play, or Shopify, or Netflix. They can connect with outside of Vietnam, like other service outside of Vietnam, instead of just being with us with a local local ATM card, and is limited to them, to the low salary customer. So I think that the difference between the location and the customer target of bank and fintechs. I don't know what Mr. Tien Dinh and Manisha have the same opinion as me or not.
I love to hear the opinion, but I'm also reminded that time flies when we're having fun, and we're coming through to the last few minutes. And actually, I have about 2 more broad questions to ask. So I'll plow straight ahead. Okay. I think that I think some folks got excited around the word competition. And there's one question, maybe this more for the e-wallet players. So the question is, well, you know, the e-wallet players, the government requires them to be bank account owners. So do they see banks or digital solutions as, you know, really competitors in that space? And maybe on a related note, as some would have read, you know, there's also mobile money that's coming online. So maybe the question around that is that, you know, what is the ecosystem going to look like for the e-wallet players? Maybe the introduction of mobile money, and going back to that classic question of, okay, the banks, are they people we collaborate with, or do we have some overlaps? Maybe Manisha, you want to share some thoughts on that?
Sure. I'll start with the partnership with banks. It's correct. In Vietnam, every e-wallet user has to link their account to a bank account and also scan their ID. This means that compared to other markets, we have very, very low fraud. It is something which is, you know, there is a very strong positive link to this that is sometimes not focused on. But so we really do. VCB is one of our oldest and deepest banking partner. We are, you know, eminently grateful to that bank for allowing us to work with them. And we have host-to-host connections with 27 of the largest banks in Vietnam. And the banks are our partner. They allow the customer to cash in. They help us effectively because of that bank link that helped us do KYC for the user, right? So that's the connection that we have. And so we see them as a partner, right? We think that we provide benefits to them. We think that this allows their users to keep more money in the bank account. They get the CASA goes up. They can see the customers being more active by cashing in. Again, like our focus is micropayments. As Feng said, that is not VCB. I mean, VCB is going to make big money on mortgages and corporate loans, and those profit pools are much bigger than what we can do. So we see ourselves as a partner, and we don't really see that changing. I don't see that changing in the short term. I think that we can do a lot. I think with eKYC, we can help people open bank accounts in banks, which is what banks need, and we can, you know, we get new users as well. We continue to expand from Saigon, Ho Chi Minh, and Hanoi into, you know, smaller cities, including Da Nang, Hai Phong, Cần Thơ, and, you know, also outside Bin Dun, like outside the greater Ho Chi Minh metropolitan area, I suppose. So, and you know, what drives us is the concentration of population, the availability of use cases. We believe that MoMo was founded on financial inclusion. So we want to serve the rural Vietnam. We believe that money transfer will be the key use case to move that, you know. And I'm not saying money transfer for your grandmother to buy a house. I'm saying money transfer, like you wanted to give some lucky money, or you wanted to give something on a happy occasion. You want to share that. You want to make a small monthly remittance home. Those are things that MoMo can support with.
Yeah, that's the social commerce side of things. Yeah. Okay, so last question to Dr. Tien, and this is the final minutes, folks. So regulatory sandbox, again, that's something that the government has rolled out. I've seen from some of the expressions that, you know, maybe they can move that faster along, right? Okay, but anyways, under the regulatory sandbox ambit, you know, some of the stuff they're talking about is like, you know, credit scoring, peer-to-peer lending. And I do know that, you know, it's quite interesting in terms of innovation. I think there are folks that use AI and look at your social media and then, you know, give and determine your credit scoring. So, you know, again, this is all new technology stuff as far as I'm concerned. Okay, but I guess the question there is regulatory sandbox, and this is for Dr. Tien. You know, what do you feel about it? What do you hope for it? Should it come sooner? Is there anything, you know, sort of specific that you feel that that can be done in this regulatory sandbox space?
Okay, thank you. So for the regulatory sandboxes, I mean, a lot of fintech startups nowadays in Vietnam, they are looking forward to that a lot. And you have seen in payment, like us, I mean, e-wallet payments, we came into the market in 2008 and 2009. They gave the first, provisional license, and that one lasts for 7 years until they have official regulations for e-wallets and intermediary payment service provider. So in order to keep up with the trend in the world for fintech, so a lot of questions they have been asked from startups that can I do this one, can I do that one? But in order to wait until the regulation to be ready, like from our past experience, that take many years. So one of an option is for the sandbox, and as have been discussed in the past few years, and they have been learning from different nearby countries in order to apply something similar for Vietnam. So far there's some instruction already. Say, okay, you have to prepare your scenario, your case study, and you have to limit your, geography where you apply and who are your customers. So you also need to prepare your documents in order to submit to be allowed in a faster way, but in a limited area. For Vietnam, most of the fintech so far, they are asking for the peer-to-peer lending, which is very big and promising in Vietnam, but the government is a bit skeptical on that due to the experience they have seen from China, for example, like the sharing economy and the loans from peer-to-peer lending. So far you have seen like eKYC, for example, that one thing they approve quite quickly for the banks and for also for us, the e-wallets provider. Addition to that, I think like open API for banks, something that not very risky for the current market. Something like credit scoring to provide additional information to the CIC where they only have official information. So some of the companies, they are submitting that. Or like us, we are working with banks, 40 different banks in Vietnam. And we have a very big network of store chain across the country. So instead of the bank, they have to open up the branches everywhere in remote area. We are using our shop as a branch and a bank branch. So like Asian banking, it could be. So such a kind of thing, it could be pilot and could be introduced in the sandbox. So within this year and next year, according to the government, they focus more on some key topics like this. And one of the hottest key topic is peer-to-peer lending. We don't know, what is how can they finalize that? But a lot of fintechs keep asking us and asking the government, what do you expect for peer-to-peer lending to be ready? But for like eKYC, open API, credit scoring, those from the safe side and make it better for the financial system, I think they will encourage to introduce. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So sorry to cut you short. I think the next webinar might be on the hottest topic on peer-to-peer lending. And actually, I did have one final point, which is that being a transaction lawyer, I like to believe that in this exciting landscape, there's room for foreign investors and foreign investment. I think they bring more things than just money, and I do believe the startups feel the same way. You can give me a thumbs up if you agree. Okay, so with that, I think I wrap up our session here. Thank you, the panelists and speakers, for a really exciting dialogue. I wish we had more time. But that's always the next webinar. So with that, Winnie, I hand it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chung. I so not wanting this to stop, but I think I would like to do maybe more than a webinar when we can actually have Dr. Tien, Manisha, and whoever else that dare to come near us for an in-person seminar. For any questions from the participants we don't have time to get to or we're unable to get to, we will come back to you by follow-up email. A video of this webinar will be also available in the next 48 hours. And for the participants, we will share the slides with you with the permission of the presenters. Thank you, Manisha. Thank you, Dr. Tien and Ms. Phu for sharing your thoughts with us. And to Chung for being a good leader in this session. No one, I don't know, Thun was going into hiding for a little bit. I was a little worried. Anyway, on behalf of Hong Kong Business Association Vietnam, thank you for spending time with us today and hope that you have enjoyed this as much as I do. If there is a topic you'd like to hear from us, or you're interested in being featured in any of our future webinars, do reach out to us. So see you again here or in person. Until we meet again, thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
you.
Bye.
Goodbye.